Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a truly profound journey through the poetry of devotion. We're going to explore a deeply moving text that unpacks the whole concept of Sharanagati, or absolute surrender. Now, this isn't just about blowing the dust off some ancient philosophy. It's about the very real human condition, our constant, exhausting struggle with the illusion of control, and how we might actually find some ultimate peace. So, let's jump right in.
Support me or leave me. This is your will. Just take a breath and let that sink in for a second. Right from the very first breath of this poem, we're hit with this incredibly striking concept of total surrender. There's absolutely no negotiation happening here. No transactional, hey, I'll believe in you if you do this quick favor for me. It's just a raw, unapologetic, and complete handing over of the reins.
All right, that brings us to Section 1, the Call of Surrender.
Now, what's really interesting about this setup is how it introduces our first major theme. We're looking at a devotee who is making this persistent, almost stubborn plea, entirely regardless of how the divine might respond. Notice the brilliant linguistic contrast the poet uses to build a foundation here. On one side, we have Marzi, representing the divine's absolute will, the ultimate choice of the cosmos. And on the exact opposite side, we have Arzi, the devotee's humble human plea. The entire poem essentially balances on the tension between these two words. It perfectly captures that intense friction between infinite cosmic power and a finite, super vulnerable human petition.
Building on that exact tension, the poet boldly declares, "I will come to your door, give me love or reprimand me." Think for a second about the immense psychological resilience it takes to make a statement like that. The devotee is actively stripping away every single condition from their devotion. They're basically saying, look, even if you turn me away, even if I get a strict reprimand instead of a warm embrace, my place is still firmly at your door. It's a staggering display of unconditional faith, and honestly, it really challenges our modern results-driven mindset.
Moving right along to Section 2, Devotee and God. Here, the poet's focus starts to shift. We're moving away from that external, persistent pleading at the physical door and stepping inward into this profound philosophical acknowledgement of human insignificance. It's all about recognizing exactly where we stand in the grand, sweeping scale of the universe. To paint this picture, the poet uses a stark juxtaposition, contrasting human fragility against supreme divine identity. Look at the phrase mati ke mado, which literally translates to idols of clay. We're fragile, we're temporary, we break easily, and we are fundamentally shaped from the earth. And yet, we're placing ourselves right in front of the infinite. It requires incredible, profound humility to look at the divine and truly recognize yourself as mere clay.
And who exactly is this infinite divine? Well, the poet uses the highly specific title Tripurati, representing the conqueror of the three worlds. The crucial takeaway here is the sheer, unimaginable scale being presented. On one hand, you have the conqueror of the entire cosmos, of literally all realms of existence. On the other, a fragile idol made of dirt. By choosing these specific words, the poet really stretches our understanding of cosmic magnitude, contrasting it beautifully against our own fragile humanity.
Which leads us into Section 3, Illusion and the Restless Mind.
The narrative takes a really fascinating turn here. We've just looked at this massive cosmic scale, but now the poet shifts our gaze inward, diving into the intimate and, frankly, agonizing internal struggle of the human psyche. Let's break down this confession, because the poet lists 4 distinct internal struggles. First, being enslaved by a fickle mind, and honestly, who among us hasn't felt their attention bouncing endlessly from one anxiety to another? Second, being deluded by Maya. Third, the sensation of losing oneself, just becoming totally disconnected from who we truly are. And finally, that exhausting feeling of having achieved nothing despite all this intense mental striving. The poet is validating a totally universal human experience here, the deep frustration of feeling lost despite our most desperate efforts to find meaning.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core root of that exact frustration, Maya. Maya is the cosmic illusion that deludes the human mind. Think of it as the ultimate smoke and mirrors of the material world. It creates false attachments, making us chase things that simply don't last, all while masking the ultimate truth of our existence. This concept perfectly encapsulates exactly what has been confusing and binding the poet's fickle mind, keeping them trapped in this relentless cycle of anxiety.
Which leads to this profound, quiet breakthrough. The poet suddenly asks, what will happen? Why should I think now? I want you to just pause for a second and think about the massive emotional relief packed into that single question. The poet is looking at their fickle mind, looking at the confusing illusion of Maya, looking at the immense power of the divine, and simply choosing to drop the heavy burden. Actually, it's more than relief. It is the active, conscious decision to let go of future anxieties. Why should I worry about what happens next when I'm just clay in the hands of the cosmos?
This deep realization carries us right into our final section, Section 4, the ultimate surrender. This part of the poem represents the beautiful culmination of the inward journey. The pushing, the pulling, the anxiety, and the exhausting internal struggle, they finally give way to total, unwavering acceptance. Let's look at how this builds back to where we started. The poet declares, "Accept me or reject me, now it is your will." You'll notice right away that these lines perfectly echo the opening of the poem. But while the words are almost identical, the narrator's mindset has completely transformed. In the beginning, it was an anxious, persistent petition, knocking on the door, stubbornly hoping to be let in. Now, having recognized their own fragility and having seen through the illusions of the mind, it's a statement of absolute peace. The internal war is officially over.
And here we reach the climactic final declaration. I have come seeking refuge. Listen to my plea. The poet uses the very specific word sharnagat, meaning one who has arrived in absolute refuge. It's absolutely crucial to understand that true surrender, in this context, is not a defeat. It's not giving up because you're beaten down by life? No way. It is the ultimate spiritual liberation. It's like finding the safest possible harbor after a long, storm-tossed journey at sea. It is a final, peaceful request to be heard, not out of desperation, but out of profound, unbreakable trust.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a direct question drawn from the poet's personal journey. Are you ready to let go of your own fickle mind and surrender the illusion of control? The true beauty of this poem isn't just in its beautiful ancient phrasing, it's in its immediate, urgent application to our noisy modern lives. Letting go of the need for things to go our exact way might just be the key to the ultimate peace we've all been exhausting ourselves searching for. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this exploration leaves you with a truly transformative thought for your day.